You wouldn't believe what this morning has been. I'm not afraid to say Merry Christmas. Christmas is the happiest of Christian holidays, and we share celebrating it by giving gifts to represent the gifts we've received. That's the analogous pay it forward kind of thing. So a Christmas gift should be special, and I find coffee gifts are especially appropriate. Of course, what else would you expect me to say? Here's my top 10 gifts. Sometimes people, I would say the most common question I get asked this time of year is, well, I've got my sister is going to be in town. I'd like to give her something really nice. I know she's a coffee geek or enthusiast of some kind. Okay, well, this is it. This is a list of all the various brewers. I'm not going to focus on beans. As far as I'm concerned, support your local roasters. These are two roasters that I like that are in the Midwest, Chicago area. But there's a lot of good roasters, and there's a lot of good roasters here other than those two as well. But I'm sure they would. I'm sure they're fine with me forgetting to mention that. But I think from what I know of these guys, they would want me to mention it. Okay, but let's start with coffee makers. Brim's 8-cup auto drip maker. This is their first entry. It's my favorite new brewer of 2019. As far as I'm concerned, lots happened with coffee brewers, and this looks like a manual brewer, but it's so close to manual in its operations. But no, it meets the industry time and temperature standards. It's a gold cup standard coffee maker, and that's changed too a lot. You should always look for that in any coffee maker you're going to get, I think. It has a spray head that showers your grounds so well, it might match your manual efforts. I think you'll be surprised. It's an early water hot splash, a pre-infusion, as the industry calls it, to allow fresh grounds to rise and fall. That improves extraction. It also has a hot plate, but I think an ideally hot plate. It keeps the coffee hot for 40 minutes and at the right temperature, which is not too hot and certainly not too cool. And then it has this. Do we have a shot of it, Michael, over here? Get the corset. Show the carafe. Yeah, and you'll see here. There you go. See that? It's got like a button-up corset there. It's almost. It's very attractive. How's that? Okay. Now, the yin to Brim's yang is the Bonavita 8-cup connoisseur brewer, which is right at the front here, which also meets the industry's brewing standards. It does so featuring a flat bottom filter, and some recent research suggests that flat bottom filters more evenly extract the grounds. Whether you believe that or not, it better matches your favorite commercial drip taste, and the shower head's excellent as well. A lot of the shower head designs have really improved. They're wider, and they more cover, as we use more grounds lately too, all the grounds. The idea is to, just like, frankly, it's just like sprinkling your lawn. You want all the grass to get equally wet. Well, you want all the grounds to get equally wet. And it also has a it has a pre-infusion splash. Key feature of this brewer, though, is the price. It's the first one of this quality, I think, that goes for under $100. So then, of course, there's the brewer that started it all way on the other side here, Mike. I don't know if you can get that one. It's the Moccamaster. Maybe you can get it with my camera. It's available in all different sizes, even colors, and it's still the best brewer made. I think Volvo's twin in coffee makers, the European-built Volvo. It's got copper tubing. I still own the first one I reviewed in the 90s. Now, the shower head's too narrow, but the perfectionist in me always gives it a little stir at the beginning and pretty much solves that problem. Ruler flat, 200 degrees brewing temperature. Probably the tightest brewing temperature of any one on the market. It's so good, so well made, I don't think I'll ever need to replace any of mine, and I would highly recommended. It also has a proprietary half-batch setting, and I would get one with that if you have the option. It'll save you money, beans, and regardless of the color, it's a greener machine. Okay, everybody needs a press. Right up here next to the Techniform Moccamaster is the French press made by Simpli Press, which is kind of, I call it a French press plus. It punches above its weight and looks. It's gorgeous. It also features dual screens with an air gap to double filter your coffee. And it's got a bottom silicone cup which further separates the grounds, and it makes for an easy and clean removal of the grounds at the end, which is, if there's any complaint about the press once in a while, people say, oh, it's a mess to clean it up. Well, this makes it a little easier. Clear, easy to follow instructions. When you use it takes 4 minutes to make coffee. When you think about this, you ever almost wonder how P.T. Barnum ever pitched the K-Cup. I also think it's hot looking enough. I would almost call it a romantic gift. I would. Everyone has a Chemex, at least according to, here it is, the Chemex is right over here too. I tried to get them in order, at least according to one competitor's marketing director under her breath to me at CoffeeCon. I still think not everyone owns a Chemex, but why not? It's a great brewer, and it has a proprietary super thick paper. When people ask, what is it about the Chemex? Well, I think the paper, filter paper, is the coolest thing. Yeah, it's got great looks, but it's got this paper, and the paper slows the extraction through it, and it also takes coarse grind for that reason, because it prolongs the extraction contact time. So you need a good burr grinder that'll give you that grind, or you need to have your shop grind it for you. Coarse grind, long contact time. That combines to give the Chemex its unique flavor. Really is different as a Colombian bean is to a Sumatra. If you think about the coffee maker, in effect adding its own flavor, its extraction ability, and they all do. Every one of these is a little different tasting. Even if you're not a foodie or an arty type, the Chemex screams, otherwise to your friends. You can raise your hipster social media IQ with a Chemex. Okay, right up next to the Chemex, which is right here at the front, is a long-awaited Chemex accessory. It's the Chemex Chettle. I know it's spelled like Chemex. They're always doing these cute little word plays. Just what the doctor ordered for the coffee enthusiast. It has everything. It's a high-performance kettle. Features what has now become a ubiquitous gooseneck, which you really can't see in the shot there, but it narrows it so that you can focus where you're pouring. Great for doing craft brews. Heats the water to an exact temperature, and you can keep it there throughout the craft brewing. General note, in case you're new to manual brewing, the Chemex taste is closer to a French press than other drip machines to me, except that it's really completely devoid of any ground sediment like you might get in a press. Neither one's correct. It's up to you and I, and I happen to like both mouthfeel experiences different times. Now, if you've run out of Apple products for the techno geek in your life, Bodum has an EPBO syphon right here, automatic syphon, and Mike, you can get that, I think, from your other camera. You simply hit start and walk away. You can always stand behind it and look busy if you need to. I do that sometimes. Its super powerful heating element makes really short work of boiling the water, which then shoots up into the upper bowl, does a frenzied timed extraction, and it does take drip ground coffee, which I think is interesting. Most vacuums siphons are recommended to use a finer grind, but what they did is since it's automatic, they prolong the contact time, and I think it's something, I've never seen a review yet that really mentioned it, but I think it's an important factor. Makes it easy, and yes, I know there's still people that use canned coffee or get their coffee ground outside and bring it home. That makes it ideal because you can use any coffee, standard grind I'd call it. Makes a powerful pot of piping hot coffee, and then It's easiest to ever siphon, and the bottom glass, I want to point out, is fragile. You definitely have to be careful. But the carafe is virtually unbreakable plastic composite. Wins hands down. It's the most automatic of any siphon I've tested. Cup quality is really good. You'll wonder why the siphon was replaced by the percolator in post-World War II 1950s as the most popular coffee maker. This is before drip really hit post-Chemex. With Bodum's entry, these are the good old days. If you're getting a purist, the ultimate coffee making gift, over here, Mike, is the Hario NXA5 siphon. And you can combine this with our infrared beam heater, which I did, and the beam heaters have really come down in price. I think it's really a great combination. It's not automatic at all. The word manual doesn't do it justice. It's downright obsessive. In geek terms, it rules the roost, though. Cloth or plastic filter. I have a cloth filter in here. I don't know if he can get a close-up of that. If you want to, you can, Mike. The cloth trouble's more trouble, yes, but I proclaim it as the best mouthfeel of any coffee anywhere is using a cloth filter. I happen to consider it the best. Let me add one important note. If you do use one of these, you'll want to preheat the water in a kettle. I know the infrared's a great way to heat water, and it looks cool, and it adds this beneath the siphon lighting to it, but it's slow getting the cold tap water to boiling. The Brewer is just fabulous. Face it, if you do use one of these, you'll want to preheat the water in a kettle. I know the infrared. It's really unlike any other device I've used before or seen. It's designed to take a piping hot cup of just brewed coffee, which is typically 170 degrees. You know this, but coffee consumed at above 150 degrees Fahrenheit can actually damage your throat. And I personally think a lot of people add milk and other ingredients. My mother used to put a little cold water in as she got older to bring the temperature down. She could have had one of these and not had to do that. You put a little ice in here, and it works really well. Other people wait to drink their coffee, and that I've never had the discipline to do. I've had one of these and happily discovered what a great product it is. In my opinion, every coffee enthusiast should own one. It's an out-of-left-field coffee gift. Baratza. Baratza currently owns, I'll just lift this one up so you can see it, the market for home grinders. I won't say they're the only brand to consider, but they're certainly a safe one. Let me show you this. Every one of them, by the way, I've tested from Baratza does as well or better than the others. They only make burr grinders. They're the only ones I recommend anyway. And the Encore is closest to their mainstream model. I think the price point of the Encore is pretty close to anybody else's grinders. The pricier Virtuoso has more grind notches. Actually, it's got a free-flowing second fine-tuning notch. It's kind of like, I don't know if you remember radios, but you used to have sometimes you'd have a receiver that would have a tuning and then a fine-tuning. That's like fine-tuning. Admittedly, that's more important than you might think for some coffee methods, but still not enough, in my opinion, to distinguish it for most of us. I actually prefer the Encore and the Virtuoso grinders to the more costly Vario, which is a flathead grinder, which is arguably better for espresso and some other fine settings, but not as good as the coarse ones in my tests. My advice on the brewers listed today is just get an Encore and call it a day. And I know I said 10, but I have to wedge this in. This is one of my favorite under-the-radar products on the market. And one thing I'd like to point out, ever wonder why coffee really hasn't become like wine? In this regard, when I'm at someone's house who's a wine connoisseur, they'll offer me a glass from the cellar, and they'll usually give me a choice of red or white, and maybe choice of several different reds. Well, that's because there's a way to preserve wines and keep them, fresh for a long time. And I know some wine connoisseurs think wines get better in the bottle. I think most of the wines I can afford don't, but they still stay pretty good for a long time. Coffee enthusiasts mostly offer you one, and I know why that is, and you do too. It's because the coffee's going so rapidly stale that they really buy one coffee at a time, and that's what we're having tonight or today. The freshness system seals your coffee in a CO2 environment, CO2 oxygen-free environment, I should say. So you really don't have to worry about staling. I've used this now for 3 years, and I think it just works so well that I don't worry about it. I honestly have canisters that have lasted me months and more than a year in one case. Is the longest test I've done. I didn't notice any difference. CO2 canisters, you can pick them up at Target, Walmart, hardware store. Your coffee collection is limited by the number of canisters you can afford to display. It's not an inexpensive gift by any means. But if you're into coffee, it's worth as much as an espresso maker or other things that are comparably priced. Don't let roasters be the only ones that get to drink what coffee they want each time they brew. You can too with the coffee freshness system. Now for the CoffeeCon prize giveaway. It's my gift this time of year. It's easy to win. Simply comment below and tell us why you want to win one of the coffee equipment gifts from the top 10. Then go to the matching company link, which will be below, and tell them the same thing in their comment section. I didn't know that was going to be a tongue twister. You can enter for just your favorite prize or all of them and increase your chances. You just need to describe why you want that specific item in both places. The contest opens now until December 26th at 1 p.m. Central, when we will announce the winners. It's the day after Christmas. The winners will be chosen at random from each prize category, but we like to read creative responses. We'll contact you, and the companies will send you the prizes just after the new year. Prizes, see, I'm suggesting you might win multiple ones. Anyway, good luck. See you on the 26th, and I know I started off with this, but have a Merry Christmas. I'm Coffee Kevin.